taking women entrepreneurs seriously. There's a bias and unbias that we see in entrepreneurship. It's my bias, it's your bias, and it's unconscious and it's conscious. Women are not reaching their full potentials because of what holds them back, and sometimes it's actually themselves. 27% of the entire globe's wealth right now is controlled by women. That's over $20 trillion worth of wealth. Women in Australia are starting businesses at twice the rate of men. 34% of companies owned in Australia are run by female entrepreneurs. That's an astounding 700,000 businesses alone in Australia. And Smart Companies said last year, on their list of Australia's top 30 women entrepreneurs, of which of course I was on that list, they generated more than $10 billion of revenue amongst those 30 women. There is a lot of money to be made taking female entrepreneurs seriously. But what is the problem here? When women want to internationalise and grow their businesses globally, they're getting stuck. And I worked out why they're getting stuck. Only 1% of all women that expand internationally, whether it's to the US, UK, Asia or Europe, are being funded by venture capitalists. 1%. In the male population, it's around 4 or 5%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. 66% of what they're using to expand globally comes from their own savings and their own profits. 15% is from raising debt through banks and traditional methods, and the rest is done on credit cards and friends and family. If we want Australian women entrepreneurs to expand globally, to reach more than $20 million in turnover, to have more than 20 employees, there needs to be a change. But what really is this problem of 1%? Is it that the businesses that they're founding are not good businesses? Are they just not interested in expanding globally? Is it a language and culture barrier that they're experiencing, or it's just too hard? I'm going to tell you my story. As a successful serial female entrepreneur, I had conscious and unconscious bias in my own journey. 6 years into the company that I founded in 2006, I was named Australia's fastest growing company, and I was also named the most successful private business in Australia, turning under $100 million. And we were just about to hit 50 million turnover after 6 years of trade. Pretty phenomenal stuff. And I started to get emails and phone calls from VCs in the UK, the States and Europe. And some of those emails started with, "Dear Sir." And some of them started with, "Dear Mr. Burston." Now I've got a very gender neutral name, Joe Burston. But what I realised is that my perception of their perception was that these male VCs in stiff suits with grey hair around big mahogany tables thought that I was a fast growth, male-led entrepreneurial venture that they were willing to put money into. My perception was that I was frightened to death by the sharks that would eventually circle my business and eat me alive. I never answered one phone call. I never responded to one email. In fact, I deleted every single one of them. But the bias was also with me, because some of the messages that I did get were "Dear Joe" and "Dear Miss Burston." I looked at my career in hindsight and I think, what would have happened if I didn't have that bias? If I had have taken that phone call, or I had have answered that email, would I have been a successful global company? Would I have hit my $100 million goal that I was actually aiming for? Would I expand it into international markets, employed thousands of people, being on the cutting edge of female entrepreneurship globally? You know what? I'll never know. I'll never know what happened. What did also happen was that the stereotypes in my mind and the perception of the stereotypes in their minds, these old, crusty, grey-headed, dark-suited men at the mahogany table, were equal in value. And what they were valuing in me was money. What I wanted them to value in me were other currencies. I wanted them to value my influence, my intelligence, my innovation, my creativity, and also the money I was going to put into their back pockets. Why didn't I take that step? I didn't know who to talk to. I needed guides, I needed people to talk to tell me what to ask, the right questions. Because in my mind, I saw it as a set of transactions, of corporate advisory, of bankers, of lawyers, of scary people that were going to eat my business and me alive. What I understood next was that there was a global marketplace. The impact that really occurs today is that men are still investing in entrepreneurs that look like themselves. Women are still holding themselves back from taking those opportunities that I let go. And there is most certainly a bias that goes both ways, of conscious and unconscious. If women don't expand their businesses through funding, they will hit a ceiling. They will not get past their 10 million revenue. They will not get past the 20 employees that they have now. And companies can start to see that. What I did next was bold. And I went out to my school where I grew up, in Picnic Point High School and Revesby South Public School, and I filmed 30 young women between the age of 8 and 17, and I asked them what an entrepreneur is. In 2013, 17 kilometres out of the city of Sydney CBD, every single one of them told me it was a man. Rare Birds was born from that day, and my vision of 1 million more women entrepreneurs by 2020, with a mission to give every woman globally the opportunity to become an entrepreneur by choice, was started. We're 16 months old. We have 25,500 women in our community. 80% of those are founders and co-founders. We are not a women's organisation. We are for everybody. We're an organisation that supports female entrepreneurship, and that support comes from all diversities. It comes from men, it comes from women, it comes from industry, corporate, it comes from government, and it comes from academia. And I love how I brought all these silos together. And how do I know we're winning? Because 54% of our readership is male. There is a lot of money to be made taking women entrepreneurs seriously, but there's also a lot of money for those women to make for themselves by not letting the opportunities go through their own conscious and unconscious bias. If she can, I can. Thank you.